Life has a way of throwing storms at us when we least expect them. One day, everything seems calm, and the next we find ourselves in the middle of chaos. Unexpected bills, broken relationships, health scares, or just the overwhelming pressure of daily life. It's in these moments that many people panic, lose hope, and feel like the world is collapsing around them. But here's the truth. Peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of God in the midst of them. First, you must pause and breathe. Breathe. When chaos surrounds you, your mind races, your heart pounds, and your emotions spiral out of control. Take a moment to step back. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Let your spirit slow down before your problems spiral you further. Peace often begins with a conscious decision to stop fighting alone and invite divine calm into your life. Focus on what you can control. Many people get caught in the trap of worrying about things they cannot change. You can't rewrite the past, control other people's actions, or prevent every storm that comes your way. But you can control your attitude, your choices, and your response. Shifting your focus from the chaos to what you can influence restores a sense of balance and brings clarity even when everything around you feels unstable. Another key to finding peace is anchoring yourself in gratitude. When life is messy, it's easy to see only the negatives. But even in the darkest times, there are blessings. Take a moment to recognize them. A friend who cares, a roof over your head, the strength to get through another day. Gratitude rewires your perspective. It reminds your heart that even in chaos, God is at work and goodness still exists. We also find peace when we let go of the need to have all the answers. Life doesn't come with a roadmap, and trying to solve every problem on your own only adds stress. Trust that there is a higher plan at work and that not knowing the next step is part of the journey. When you surrender the burden of having to control everything, peace fills the space where anxiety once lived. Finally, stay connected to God through prayer and reflection. Prayer is not just asking for problems to disappear. It's a conversation that aligns your heart with His. Reflect on His promises, meditate on His word, and allow His presence to calm your spirit. Peace grows when you remember that no matter how turbulent life gets, you are never alone. Chaos is inevitable, but anxiety is optional. You can face the storms of life without letting them consume you. When you pause, focus on what you can control, cultivate gratitude, let go of the need to know it all, and stay connected to God, peace becomes not just possible, but a reality that carries you through every trial. When life feels like a whirlwind and chaos seems to be all around you, the first and most critical step toward finding peace is to pause and breathe. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it is one of the most powerful tools available to us in moments of turmoil. In the middle of overwhelming circumstances, our instinct is often to rush, to react, to try to fix everything at once. We get caught in the current of stress, anxiety, and fear, and in doing so, we lose the ability to think clearly, to make wise decisions, and to experience any sense of calm. Pausing is not a sign of weakness or indecision. Rather, it is a conscious act of reclaiming your control and your clarity. It is a deliberate choice to step out of the storm for a moment, to create space between yourself and the chaos, and to invite a sense of stillness into your heart and mind. When you pause, you give yourself the chance to slow down your racing thoughts. In the heat of a crisis, our minds tend to go in 100 different directions at once. We replay past mistakes, worry about future outcomes, and imagine scenarios that may never happen. This mental noise amplifies stress and keeps us trapped in a cycle of anxiety. Taking a pause allows you to interrupt that cycle. Even a few deep breaths can slow your heartbeat, reduce tension in your muscles, and calm your nervous system. Breathing deeply sends a signal to your brain that you are safe, even in the midst of uncertainty. It is a reminder that you are not powerless, that you still have the ability to respond rather than react, and that peace is available even when circumstances are difficult. Pausing also gives you the opportunity to assess your situation from a more objective perspective. When emotions are running high, it is easy to make impulsive decisions or to see problems as larger than they actually are. By taking a moment to step back, you can observe what is happening with greater clarity. You can identify which elements of the situation you can influence and which are beyond your control. This act of conscious observation is the first step toward regaining a sense of balance. It allows you to separate the facts from the fears, to distinguish between what is real and what is imagined, and to approach the situation with a calmer, more rational mindset. Moreover, pausing is an act of faith. It is a recognition that you do not have to solve everything on your own, and that peace does not come from controlling every detail. By stopping and breathing, you are acknowledging that there is a higher power at work, that you are not alone in your struggle, and that help is available if you are willing to accept it. This spiritual dimension of pausing is especially important because it shifts your focus from frantic activity to intentional presence. It reminds you that peace is not something you must chase, but something you can receive when you slow down and allow yourself to rest in the midst of difficulty. Pausing can take many forms depending on what works best for you. It could be as simple as closing your eyes for a few moments and taking 10 slow, deep breaths. It could mean stepping away from a heated conversation or a stressful environment to regain your composure. It could involve taking a short walk, writing in a journal, or sitting quietly in meditation or prayer. The key is not the method itself, but the act of deliberately interrupting the chaos and creating space for calm to enter. Each pause is a reminder that you have the power to choose how you respond, that you are not controlled by circumstances, and that inner peace is accessible even in the most turbulent times. Breathing deeply during a pause also has profound physiological benefits. It increases oxygen flow to the brain, which improves cognitive function and helps you think more clearly. It lowers levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, which reduces feelings of anxiety and tension. It relaxes the body, easing tight muscles and calming the heart rate. These physical changes are closely connected to emotional and spiritual well-being. When your body is calm, your mind is clearer, and your heart is more receptive to peace. Pausing and breathing, therefore, is not just a mental or spiritual exercise. It is a holistic practice that restores balance to your entire being. Another important aspect of pausing is the message it sends to your emotions. When you allow yourself to stop, you acknowledge that it is okay to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or afraid. You do not need to suppress these emotions or act as if everything is fine when it is not. Recognizing your feelings without judgment creates an environment in which healing and clarity can begin. It is in this space of acceptance that you can invite peace to take root. Peace does not arrive by denying reality. It comes when you face reality with courage, with faith, and with the conscious choice to respond rather than react. Pausing is also essential because it prepares you for the next steps. When you are caught up in chaos without taking a moment to breathe, your decisions are often reactive and short-sighted. When you pause, you create a moment of reflection that allows you to consider your options more carefully. You can prioritize what truly matters, identify solutions that are practical and effective, and avoid mistakes that might compound the problem. Each pause becomes an opportunity to reset your focus, to clarify your values, and to realign your actions with your purpose. Finally, the act of pausing cultivates resilience. Life will always present challenges, and chaos is never entirely avoidable. But learning to pause and breathe equips you with a skill that can be used again and again, no matter what storms come your way. It trains your mind and spirit to find calm in the midst of pressure, to reclaim control when situations feel out of control, and to experience a sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. When life feels chaotic, one of the most important steps to finding peace is to focus on what you can control. It is natural to want to fix everything around us, to take responsibility for every problem, and to feel burdened by all the things that are going wrong. Yet much of the anxiety we experience comes from trying to manage what is beyond our control. We spend our energy worrying about other people's decisions, unexpected events, or outcomes that are uncertain, and in doing so, we drain ourselves of the mental and emotional resources we actually need to make meaningful change. Shifting your attention to the things you can influence is a powerful strategy for reclaiming peace in the midst of chaos. Focusing on what you can control begins with awareness. You have to recognize the difference between what is within your power and what is not. For example, you cannot control the economy, the weather, or the choices of other people, but you can control your own attitude, your daily actions, and the decisions you make. When you begin to identify these areas of control, you start to feel empowered rather than helpless. This shift in perspective is crucial because it changes your mindset from one of victimhood to one of agency. It reminds you that even when circumstances are difficult, you are not powerless. You have the ability to respond, adapt, and make choices that move you forward. A practical way to focus on what you can control is to make a list of your responsibilities and options. Write down the things that require your attention and separate them from the things that are outside your influence. This simple act of categorization brings clarity and reduces the mental chaos that comes from trying to manage everything at once. It also helps you prioritize. You can dedicate your energy to the areas where your actions will make a real difference, and you can release the worry and guilt that often accompany the things you cannot change. In doing so, you create a mental space where peace can grow. Focusing on control also involves cultivating intentional responses rather than reactive ones. When chaos hits, our instinct is often to react impulsively, out of fear or frustration. These reactions can escalate the situation, damage relationships, and increase stress. By focusing on what you can control, you give yourself the ability to pause, evaluate, and respond in a measured and thoughtful way. You can choose your words carefully, take actions that are constructive, and avoid choices that might worsen the chaos. This intentionality creates a sense of mastery and calm, even when the external environment remains unpredictable. Another important aspect of focusing on what you can control is recognizing the power of your mindset. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control how you perceive it. Two people can face the exact same challenge, and one will feel overwhelmed while the other finds opportunity. The difference lies in perspective. By choosing to see obstacles as temporary, challenges as opportunities to grow, and difficulties as lessons, you exercise control over your mental and emotional state. This practice of mental focus helps prevent chaos from dictating your mood or your decisions. It reminds you that peace is a product of your mind and heart, not just your external circumstances. Focusing on control also means taking responsibility for your actions without taking on unnecessary blame for things outside your influence. It is easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism, asking, "Oh, why did this happen to me?" Or "if only I had done something differently." While reflection and accountability are important, excessive guilt over what you cannot change only adds to anxiety. Peace comes when you accept your responsibility where it exists, act wisely within that scope, and release the rest. By letting go of control over what is beyond your reach, you free your mind and heart to focus on what truly matters. This principle applies not only to practical matters, but also to your emotions and relationships. You cannot control how other people feel or behave, but you can control your own responses, your attitude, and your communication. You can choose to respond with patience instead of anger, understanding instead of frustration, and compassion instead of judgment. This focus not only protects your peace, but often influences the situation positively because calm, intentional responses can diffuse tension rather than escalate it. It is also important to recognize that focusing on control does not mean ignoring problems or avoiding responsibility. Rather, it is about channeling your energy wisely. When you concentrate on actions that are within your reach, you become proactive instead of reactive. You begin to take meaningful steps toward solutions, and each step you take reinforces your sense of agency. This proactive approach reduces feelings of helplessness and builds confidence, both of which are essential for maintaining peace in turbulent times. Finally, focusing on what you can control is a continuous practice. Life will always present new challenges, unexpected events, and unpredictable people. If you allow your peace to depend on circumstances outside your control, you will constantly feel anxious and unsettled. But by returning your attention to what you can influence, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, you cultivate a steady center in the midst of storms. This focus becomes a habit, a lens through which you view every challenge, and a source of inner strength that allows you to navigate chaos without losing your composure. Finding peace in the middle of chaos often requires a deliberate shift in perspective, and one of the most effective ways to do this is by anchoring yourself in gratitude. In the midst of difficulty, it is easy to focus on what is going wrong, to dwell on what you lack, and to feel overwhelmed by the weight of your challenges. Gratitude, however, is a powerful tool that can change the way you perceive your circumstances. It does not deny the reality of hardship, but it allows you to recognize the good that still exists, even in the midst of struggle. By intentionally focusing on the blessings in your life, you create a foundation of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances, but rooted in the truth that there is still much to be thankful for. Anchoring yourself in gratitude begins with awareness. It requires you to slow down and intentionally observe the positive aspects of your life. This could be as simple as noticing the warmth of the sun on your face, the comfort of a safe home, or the presence of friends and family who care about you. Gratitude does not have to be reserved for monumental achievements or extraordinary events. It is cultivated in the small, everyday moments that often go unnoticed. By paying attention to these moments, you begin to shift your focus away from the chaos and toward the constants of goodness that surround you, even if they seem small. A practical method to cultivate gratitude is to keep a gratitude journal. Each day, take a few minutes to write down at least 3 things for which you are thankful. These can range from significant milestones to minor comforts. A hot cup of tea, a kind word from a colleague, or the ability to take a deep breath. The act of writing them down reinforces your awareness and trains your mind to notice positives rather than dwell on negatives. Over time, this practice reshapes your perception, making it easier to find peace even when life feels uncertain or overwhelming. Gratitude also has a profound impact on your emotional state. When you focus on the things you are thankful for, your brain releases chemicals such as dopamine and serotonin, which promote feelings of happiness and contentment. This chemical shift counteracts stress hormones like cortisol, helping your body and mind relax. Emotionally, gratitude creates a sense of stability and reassurance. It reminds you that no matter how chaotic life becomes, there are aspects of your life that remain intact, providing a foundation upon which peace can grow. Beyond emotional benefits, gratitude influences your thought patterns. When you anchor yourself in thankfulness, your mind begins to notice opportunities and solutions rather than problems and obstacles. You start to see challenges as temporary and manageable rather than overwhelming and permanent. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust, and from frustration to hope. It allows you to maintain a positive outlook even when circumstances are difficult, which is essential for sustaining peace in the midst of chaos. Gratitude also strengthens relationships, which are critical sources of support during turbulent times. When you acknowledge the contributions of others and express appreciation for their presence in your life, you foster connection and mutual encouragement. This relational aspect of gratitude not only deepens bonds, but also creates a support network that can provide guidance, encouragement, and practical help when you face challenges. Knowing that you are not alone, that others care and are willing to help, reinforces your sense of peace and security. Anchoring yourself in gratitude is not about ignoring problems or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about cultivating a mindset that recognizes the good while acknowledging the difficulties. By doing so, you create a sense of balance, allowing yourself to face challenges with resilience rather than despair. Gratitude helps you keep perspective, reminding you that even in the midst of loss, disappointment, or uncertainty, life still holds elements of beauty, kindness, and opportunity. Another important aspect of gratitude is that it fosters a sense of trust and surrender. When you regularly acknowledge the blessings in your life, you reinforce the understanding that there is a higher plan at work and that you are supported even when circumstances are chaotic. This trust reduces anxiety and fear, replacing them with a calm confidence that things will work out in time. Peace is not simply the absence of difficulty, it is the presence of a centered, grateful heart that can remain steady despite external turbulence. Practicing gratitude also builds resilience. Life will always present challenges, and chaos is inevitable, but a grateful heart provides an anchor in the storm. By focusing on what is good and appreciating what you have, you develop the mental and emotional strength to endure hardships without being overwhelmed. Out. Each act of gratitude is like a small step towards stability, reinforcing your capacity to face difficulties with calm and courage. Incorporating gratitude into your daily routine can take many forms beyond journaling. You can verbalize your thanks to those around you, reflect silently on the positive aspects of your day, or even create a visual reminder, such as a list or images that highlights your blessing. The specific method matters less than the consistent practice of intentionally noticing and appreciating what is good. Over time, this habit reshapes your inner world, creating a consistent source of peace that persists even when life feels chaotic. Finding peace in the middle of chaos requires learning to let go of the need to have all the answers. One of the greatest sources of anxiety and stress is the belief that we must understand everything, solve every problem, and control every outcome. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan, we cannot foresee every twist and turn. Holding on tightly to the illusion of complete control only increases tension and frustration. True peace emerges when we acknowledge that it is impossible to have all the answers and choose instead to trust the process, trust ourselves, and trust that there is a higher plan at work beyond what we can see. Letting go of the need for all the answers begins with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean resignation or passivity. It means recognizing the reality of the situation as it is without denying, avoiding, or exaggerating. When chaos surrounds us, it is natural to feel fear and confusion, but resisting these feelings or attempting to control outcomes we cannot influence only intensifies stress. Acceptance allows us to face reality with clarity, to identify what we can do in the moment, and to release the weight of what is beyond our reach. It creates space in our minds and hearts for peace to enter because we are no longer constantly fighting what we cannot change. One of the key aspects of letting go is developing trust. Trust that even if you do not understand why certain things are happening, there is a purpose or a plan that you may not yet see. Trust that you have the strength, resources, and resilience to navigate challenges as they come. Trust that life, with all its uncertainties, can unfold in a way that leads to growth, learning, and eventual stability. When we cling desperately to knowing everything or controlling every outcome, we inadvertently block ourselves from experiencing this trust and the peace that comes with it. Surrendering the need for complete understanding allows us to flow with life rather than struggle against it. Another important dimension is humility. Accepting that you do not have all the answers is an act of humility. It acknowledges that you are human with limits and vulnerabilities, and that it is okay not to know everything. Humility opens the door to learning, seeking help, and gaining perspective from sources outside yourself. When we let go of the illusion of omniscience, we are more willing to listen, reflect, and grow. This humility fosters inner calm because it releases the burden of trying to be perfect or infallible in our knowledge and decision making. Letting go also requires a shift in focus from control to influence, from control to. While you cannot dictate every event or outcome, you can choose how you respond to challenges. You can choose your attitude, your actions, and your mindset. You can focus on solutions within your reach rather than obsessing over the aspects of life you cannot change. By concentrating on what you can influence, you regain a sense of agency and empowerment, even amidst uncertainty. This shift brings a profound sense of peace because it replaces helplessness with purposeful action. It is also essential to recognize the emotional benefits of releasing the need for all the answers. Anxiety often comes from imagining worst-case scenarios or feeling trapped in uncertainty. By surrendering the need to control every detail, you reduce mental clutter and free yourself from obsessive thinking. This allows your emotions to stabilize, your heart rate to slow, and your mind to find clarity. Peace begins to emerge naturally when you stop battling the unknown and start accepting life's mysteries with openness and courage. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibility. It is not a call to ignore problems or avoid challenges. On the contrary, it is about approaching life with wisdom and discernment. You take responsibility for what you can manage and influence, and you release the unnecessary burden of trying to orchestrate outcomes beyond your reach. This balance between responsibility and surrender creates a powerful foundation for inner calm, because it aligns your actions with reality rather than imagination or fear. Another aspect of releasing the need for all the answers is patience. Often we want immediate solutions, quick fixes, or instant clarity, but life does not always provide them. By practicing patience, you allow situations to unfold in their own time. Yet, even in the most turbulent seasons, there is a source of unwavering calm and guidance that is available to everyone who seeks it. Connection with God provides an anchor for the soul, a refuge where anxiety cannot penetrate, and a source of clarity that illuminates the right path, even when the world around you seems dark and confusing. This connection is not reserved for extraordinary moments. It is cultivated through consistent, intentional practices of communication, meditation, and reflection. Prayer is the most immediate and accessible way to remain connected to God. Many people think of prayer only as a way to ask for solutions, relief, or intervention, but it is much more than that. Prayer is a conversation that aligns your heart and mind with the presence of God. It is a way to release burdens, express gratitude, seek guidance, and invite peace into your life. Peace into your life. But say this, in moments of chaos, prayer allows you to pause, step out of the whirlwind of your thoughts, and focus on a higher reality. It reminds you that you are not alone, that you do not have to carry every worry by yourself, and that divine wisdom is available to guide you through difficult circumstances. Reflection, combined with prayer, is equally important. Taking time to meditate on God's word, promises, and character provides perspective that the chaos of life often obscures. When problems overwhelm us, it is easy to see only the immediate difficulty, to feel trapped, and to imagine there is no way forward. Reflection shifts your focus from the noise of the present to the eternal truths that provide stability. Meditating on God's faithfulness, His wisdom, and His love strengthens your heart and mind, equipping you to face challenges with courage rather than fear. It reminds you that every situation is under His control and that His presence can bring peace even when circumstances remain unpredictable. Staying connected to God also transforms the way you perceive challenges. When you rely on your own understanding alone, problems can appear insurmountable. Decisions may seem overwhelming, and the weight of responsibility can feel unbearable. Connection with God through prayer and reflection opens your mind to wisdom beyond your own experience. It allows you to approach problems with discernment, clarity, and a sense of calm confidence. Instead of reacting impulsively or being consumed by anxiety, you begin to respond thoughtfully, grounded in the assurance that guidance is available to you. Another vital aspect of maintaining this connection is trust. Prayer and reflection cultivate trust by reminding you that God is aware of your circumstances, knows your struggles, and has the power to bring resolution in His timing. Trust does not always mean that situations will change immediately, but it means that you can experience peace even while waiting, knowing that there is a divine plan unfolding beyond what you can see. This trust reduces the constant mental and emotional strain that comes from trying to control outcomes and allows your heart to rest in the certainty of His presence. Connection to God also provides a sense of perspective that helps you prioritize what truly matters. In the chaos of life, it is easy to get distracted by minor irritations, fleeting setbacks, or temporary frustrations. Prayer and reflection center your mind on enduring values, spiritual truths, and eternal priorities. This perspective helps you make decisions that are not reactive or short-sighted, but thoughtful and aligned with your purpose. It fosters a calm confidence that enables you to navigate challenges with wisdom rather than panic. Furthermore, staying connected to God strengthens resilience. Life will always present trials, unexpected changes, and challenges that test your patience and faith. Connection through prayer and reflection equips you to endure these trials without being overwhelmed. It builds an inner reserve of peace that is independent of external circumstances, allowing you to maintain calm and hope even in the midst of prolonged chaos. Each moment spent in prayer or reflection reinforces your spiritual foundation, creating a steady anchor that holds you firm regardless of what storms arise. Community can also play a role in maintaining connection. Engaging in shared prayer, study, or reflection with others provides encouragement, accountability, and support. While personal time with God is essential, being part of a community reinforces your faith, reminds you that you are not alone, and offers practical wisdom through shared experiences. This communal aspect further deepens your sense of peace, knowing that you are part of a larger body supported by others who seek the same connection and guidance. It is also important to recognize that connecting with God is an ongoing daily practice. Peace is not a one-time achievement. It is cultivated through consistent effort and intentionality. Life's challenges will continue to arise, but maintaining regular prayer, reflection, and meditation ensures that your foundation remains strong. Over time, this consistent connection transforms the way you experience chaos, making peace a natural state rather than a fleeting moment. Ultimately, staying connected to God through prayer and reflection reminds you that you are never truly alone, no matter how overwhelming circumstances may seem. It anchors your heart, steadies your mind, and fills your spirit with calm. It provides clarity, guidance, and strength to navigate life's storms with grace and confidence. In the midst of chaos, this connection is a constant source of refuge, reminding you that peace is available, accessible, and enduring. No matter how intense the storms around you, the peace that comes from God remains unwavering. By prioritizing connection through prayer and reflection, you create a sanctuary within your own heart, a place where calm, clarity, and hope reside. This peace sustains you through trials, empowers your decisions, strengthens your resilience, and reminds you daily that you are held, guided, and never alone. Embracing this practice allows you to experience serenity, not as a temporary escape, but as a lasting reality, even in the middle of life's chaos. Whoa.